Have you ever had a moment in your life that you thought this reality you're living in is not real? Maybe it's just a small amount. A lucky moment that makes you wonder if it's real. A miracle that makes you question your reality. Perhaps you just had a really vivid dream, and in the waking moments you wonder as you become cognizant that world you were in moments ago was just a passing dream. Maybe you wonder if your entire life is pre-programmed, desperately wanting to ask if someone else feels the same way, but not wanting to weird anyone out. You continue to live your life the way it's always had. I'm not sure if you, my dear viewer, have ever felt this way, but I know I have. Would you like to make a deal with me, dear viewer? If, by the end of this video, your grip on reality stays the way it always has, then I will leave you forever. But if the words of this video resound afterwards, then I will live forever within you. Deal? Surviving Romance is a webtoon that I've been following from the start as a fan of Leonix's other work, The Makeup Remover. The Makeup Remover is another great webtoon, and it helped me a bit with coping how to be a good friend when my best friend was going through an abusive relationship. I relate to a lot of things in that webtoon, and knew Surviving Romance would be another great one by the creator. But I'm not talking about The Makeup Remover. Why Surviving Romance? This webcomic immediately got my attention with how it handled the world. Surviving Romance stars Chae-rin, sorry if I mispronounce names by the way, I'm not very knowledgeable on Korean pronunciation. So, the Chae-rin of the story we're reading is actually a real person that for some reason reincarnated as Chae-rin. She's a fan of the original story I'll Love You Every Day and wants to embrace this chance to live as Chae-rin, so she willingly follows the plot to a T, happily awaiting her final chapter, her happy end with the story's love interest. Chae-rin's got it all. Great looks, every guy is after her, and it seems like everything is going towards the path in life she craves for. A boyfriend, an easy out in a society with harsh working conditions, and a picture-perfect happy ending. Except, is Chae-rin really happy? She doesn't seem to have any friends, just her soon-to-be boyfriend ueueueue. They say love blinds you to the world around you, so is Chae-rin willingly becoming blind out of that pursuit? The webtoon follows her day with Jaeha. Chae-rin knows how the story will go, predicting all of his movements without worrying over a bus almost running over to her because Jaeha is written to save her. Jaeha asks to meet her in the music room at lunchtime because he has something he wishes to tell her. While Chae-rin wishes for the end of the day, we see some looks into her worldview. Everyone other than Jaeha is a silhouette, and Chae-rin continues the reason she can't see anyone is because they're just side characters in a story, unimportant. So maybe it's that she has no interest in them, they're a distraction. She also says something interesting here. Although it seems like we have a choice, our lives are hopeless. Chae-rin's original self escaped reality into this book, and continues to escape reality by living as Chae-rin. This line is shown as a brief quote, but it shows that is how Chae-rin views her life, and the life of those around her, as hopeless. She also says she has no reason not to pick Jaeha. She can have a great romantic ending with him, but notice that she also doesn't really have much of a reason to pick him either. We skip to the music room, and Chae-rin is embraced by Jaeha. This isn't according to the storyline, so she's a bit surprised by the act. She turns around, and it shows Jaeha as a zombie. She quickly fights him off, only to discover there's apparently been a zombie outbreak at her school, with Chae-rin right in the epicenter of everything. Zombies grab onto her, and she dies. We then see her waking up, and it's the morning of her confession. You may think it was all a dream, but she has a bite mark on her hand, a reminder that that day really happened, and that she's in a time loop. Now, That first episode hooked me immediately, and I really do recommend you read the rest of it before continuing watching the video. The setup of Chaerin trying to escape her fate each day is a fun read, as she gradually comes to realize certain rules about the timeline to inch closer to surviving the romance story turned zombie novel. But it's not the reason I'm making this video. This plotline is great, sure, but surviving romance is so much more than some isekai heroine surviving a story she knows bits and pieces of to make it through. Did you read the webtoon yet? Or do you want to continue watching this video? You're still watching! You're glutton for punishment, I suppose. But maybe you already read this webtoon and just want to know my thoughts. Why do you watch videos like this? Do you want to share in some mutual understanding? Relate with each other over a story you enjoy? Or maybe you're just bored and this is all background noise? Regardless, I'm happy to provide. A story needs readers, and a content creator views. A person needs entertainment, so as long as you're watching, that means we're both getting what we want. As long as you watch, our deal is slowly infecting you, like a virus infects a student, slowly turning them into a zombie. I guess you could click off any moment and avoid that scenario, and this video will be nothing but a faint memory while you go each day following your usual routines while I languish into obscurity. Aren't you tired of following the fate you're given? Don't you just want to give up? Look at Chaerin. She's given up. No matter how many times she tries, the story just seems to be working against her. Her happy ending won't be coming. 289 times, 378, she walks towards the zombies knowing nothing will ever change. But then, a miracle happens. Someone saves her from the zombies, and they run off together to try to escape. This is the first time the story has deviated, and it's not because of Chaerin's actions. This person, Chaerin calls the unknown extra. Since they're like everyone else, Chaerin views them as nothing but a silhouette. But she knows Chaerin. They're in the same class. So she tried to save Chaerin when it looked like she was willingly going to get killed off. The two ransack a shop, and the unknown extra gives her some bibimbap. Chaerin wonders how long it's been since she ran hard or chatted with someone like this, a person that's not predetermined with lines for her like Jeha. In those 378 times she's repeated this day, that's over a year. This was the first time she ate anything, and she cries from how delicious it is. The extra talks to her, saying that she doesn't think Chaerin has no reason to survive, but asks if she does have no reason to survive. Maybe they can find a reason to survive together. As long as they're both alive, a miracle could happen. Chaerin questions herself that if she's still the heroine of this zombie novel, perhaps she could choose this extra to be a supporting character? The extra begins to become visible with her hair and bracelet. But before she can be fully revealed, or even give her name, the miracle ends. A pair of students also break into the store and beat her to death with a bat. Chaerin bites her own tongue off, killing herself to start a new day. But she didn't give up. She found a miracle to latch onto. An extra that can become a supporting character. A new hope. So, the true story of surviving romance begins with Chaerin trying to find the identity of the unknown extra. She knows the girls in her class, so her course of action is to befriend and save every single classmate to discover her identity. We start getting a class roster that fills out with the students. The next day starts with her using her knowledge of the day to get a one-up on the situation. In her repeats, she learns that the infection starts from a bus, so her first routine is to make sure none of her classmates get on the bus or leave the classroom for the nurse's office, which is where the breakout truly does, well, break out. She also has some knowledge of the extras of the story, as they were all bullies to her. While most of their info wasn't important to her before, she can use the skills of some of them to her advantage. Like the student can tell rumors to get anyone to believe her. And by getting this student to help, Chaerin notices something. Now, she can see that character she opened up to. We also get our first instance of the character roster here that changes with each episode. The first girl she sees is Seiyun Ham. She plays along with spreading Chayadin's story that she's a time traveler, getting the class to accept Chayadin for now, begrudgingly. We then see another character, Mihui, live streaming herself during the zombie apocalypse. Since filming zombies will get her so many views. She gets taken away by the zombies, and Chayadin is initially okay with letting her join the wolves to get eaten when she asks if anyone had a bracelet today, the one the unknown extra had. But then she's told Mihui had a bracelet earlier, but it's no longer on her, so Chayadin saves her and adds Mihui to her roster of visible students. Now, this is incredibly funny as a return viewer, so again, I'm gonna say to read the webtoon first. I'll go reread this chapter while I wait for those that hadn't or those that don't care to click off of this. Okay, let's resume. So, Chayadin saves Mihui, who gives her a bracelet that's not the one from the unknown extra. This is hella funny because Mihui is, in fact, the unknown extra. Chayadin is convinced there's no way this Jake Paul-ass gremlin is the girl that gave her hope to continue living in the face of adversity. It's so funny in retrospect. Chayadin's brave rescue of Mihui makes her devoted to Chayadin, and Mihui continues to be one of the most reliable characters of the series to screw on Chayadin's head. Understandably so. Now, I want to get to the meat of the story and why I think it's so cool. I'm going to be skipping a lot of character stuff here, as there's quite a lot of characters and they are all important, so I feel a bit bad excluding them while I give Mihui and Seiyun a spot to talk about. But basically, a character becomes visible to Chayadin when they both open up to each other. It's usually because of Chayadin's initial attitude to her classmates when she was in romance novel mode that closed them off to her, though it is inverted a bit with the reveal of the yandere girl Seiyun, who is in love with Chayadin in the original novel, that totally would have been visible to Chayadin day one, but Chayadin didn't want to open up to her the most out of everyone, which is hilarious and tragic for the poor girl. We begin to see some of the rules of this unravel with Seiyun. Seiyun has voices in her head that tell her to be in love with Chayadin, that results in her yandere love for her. It's like how Chayadin followed the script of the novel, but with more of a feeling that Seiyun is forced to be obsessed with her out of fear of the voices and a desire to shut the voices up. But the more ironic thing here is it's hard for Seiyun to truly feel like she's in love with Chayadin, and that is because she's not the Chayadin of the book. Things begin to break down with the story, and some of her classmates even die as the story continues. One character, Jihyun, is a volleyball member in the class who broke her ankle. She accepts this fate that she'll never be able to run or play volleyball ever again. But Chayadin initially gives her hope to continue on. But she's bitten by a zombie and acts as a decoy in her last moments, luring the zombies away from the classroom, essentially committing suicide. This greatly upsets Chayadin for a few reasons. The first being how she desperately wants to fight fate and escape with everyone, and the second being that she committed suicide. While suicide is always hard to see, this will be getting further depth with Chayadin's character as we go through the webtoon. Chayadin's original self died from committing suicide, so seeing a mirror of that is also terrible. The last message she gets from Jihyun is, "Please remember me. Please live because of me. Please don't let my death be in vain," which is the core ethos of the story. As the story progressed, more and more zombies evolve and get their own abilities, one of these being one that can emulate the faces of those it sees. However, one character notes it saw it wearing the face of Chayadin with black hair, despite it never having actually made contact with her. When asked about it, Chayadin bullshits out an answer that is actually correct, which is another instance of hilarity. She says there's someone with a goal opposite of hers, trying to change their future to get people to continue to believe and support Chayadin. Upon thinking about the black-haired Chayadin though, Pink Chayadin realizes something. The zombie that bit her on the first day of the zombie loop didn't actually kill her. It sent her back in time. It gave her the ability to travel back in time when she dies. The zombie had black hair. The bite on her hand the errors spreading throughout the book. The one who dropped Chiding into the situation is black-haired Chiding, the original Chiding. The original story Chiding still exists, and is something akin to a ghost that both exists and does not. For most intents and purposes, pink Chiding is the Chiding of the story, but there's that feeling of unnaturalness about it to some characters, Seiyeon especially. Black-haired Chiding is revealed to be most of the story's antagonist. The reason for the zombie incident is shown to be because of her, and when asked for a reason, she says it's because she wants Chiding to give up. She wants Huisu Kim to give up. Pink Chiding will now be called Huisu, and black-haired Chiding just Chiding from this point. Hopefully it's not too confusing. Huisu is the girl that committed suicide, waking up in the body of Pink Chiding, the fan of the original story. But she's not even just a fan though. She's the original writer of the story. She wrote Chiding's fate. She wrote all of the characters' histories. She wrote on their negative traits. She wrote Jihyun's injury, Seiyeon's obsession with Chiding. It was all Huisu. Chiding was tired of living like Seiyeon, following a voice telling her to achieve the story she was written to follow, and became self-aware that she was a character in the novel. Loving Jaeha, she was desperate for Jaeha to love her, not as a novel character, but as an actual person. She tried deviating from the script, but Jaeha just continued saying the same lines of the novel, driving her to madness. It's here the story admittedly gets a little weird, but I enjoy it because of that. It's said that there's a devil that preys upon souls that lives within books. Upon noticing Chiding has gained a soul, despite being a fictional character, the devil makes a deal with Chiding. If she can replace Chiding with someone else, Huisu, and they fulfill the role Chiding hates, then the demon will let Chiding escape from the story. But if she is unable to get Chiding to give up in time, the devil will take Chiding's soul. Huisu is chosen because of her being the original novelist and the fact she committed suicide, wanting to escape from her reality into the world of fiction. Chiding thinks it to be the perfect replacement, but again, we see the bits of beginning Chiding. Her heart wasn't completely in it from the beginning. While she did follow the events of the story, she didn't actually wish to be there fully. She was just escaping from reality, not accepting the book as her own reality. And so, Chiding began the zombie story to break Huisu, to get her to lose hope of escaping the story and resign herself to her fate. Funnily enough though, Chiding is her own worst enemy. Due to her love for Jaeha, she also couldn't accept Huisu having a happy ending in the first place. Whenever Huisu looped and tried to save Jaeha, Chiding would kill Jaeha, getting her to give up on Jaeha and the original story with the miraculous appearance of the unknown extra, Misui. And speaking of miraculous, Chiding's not the only one to gain a soul. Throughout the story, a few of the other characters, like Misui, gain a soul. When Chiding loops again, they retain memories, and in trying to gain souls for the other characters, they also eventually gain memories of their past loops and dazes of memories. Chiding wants to escape with everyone, with every soul. She wants every soul to leave the story, and not just her. Take a look at all the comments while you read the story. Everyone's rooting for everyone to live and have a happy ending. Whenever a loop comes, there's dozens of comments hoping no one else will die. The readers are also a part of the story. The readers give the story a soul, and in doing so, give the characters hope with their words and prayers, even if the characters don't realize it. That's the brilliance of surviving romance. There were many moments in the story I felt that lapse in reality. When Chiding looked directly at the reader, blaming us for her hardships, saying they cannot rest so long as someone is hoping to survive. Well, in the context of the story, at that point, you could see it as Huisu or other characters. But that moment of her staring directly at the reader as she said it always made me question for a moment. Is the fact I'm reading this the reason this world exists? If I write a story where someone's suffering, well, it's fiction to me, that suffering for the character is real. That's something Huisu had to come to terms with when she repeats her loop, feeling guilt for being the original author. I love when stories take a look outside of the lens and look at the player, the watcher, the reader, and says this is all because of you, because you played this, because you watched this, because you read this. It makes you wonder for a second about your own reality. It's an excellent example of not just breaking the fourth wall, but the fifth wall as well. Makes you question your own reality. Maybe there's someone else that's watching you, and you're just a character. When Chairin's time is over, the devil appears, holding panels, crawling from parts of the story, showing the app you're reading the story, showing comments from readers. You recognize the layout. That's your comment. You're a character in the story as well. Chairin's goal ends in irony. Jeha, not understanding that she is Chairin, stabs her to death, thinking her to be a zombie attacking Huisu, who he sees as Chairin. A sad irony when she's doing all of this and hopes to escape and be with Jeha in actual reality, with actual feelings and a soul. Over her corpse, the devil appears. Seiyun, the first character visible to Huisu, is the devil. The fact she can manipulate people with her words isn't just that that's her character, but also that she has the ability to manipulate the story. She receives Chairin's soul and makes an additional bet with her, for old time's sake, as a way of kinda spitting in the face of Chairin's suffering. If someone remembers her, she'll return everyone's souls, not just Chairin's. Though, she's confident that won't happen. In Chairin's last moments, she cries towards Jeha, saying she loves him and wishes she heard him say something she didn't expect him to say. All those years of following the script, she wanted him to say he loved her truly, but now, only she can say that while deviating from the story, telling him she loves him instead of him telling her last deviation from the story. After Seiyun takes Chairin's soul, everyone forgets about black-haired Chairin. The story is rewritten, and seeing her as nothing but a faceless monster. With the evil seemingly defeated, everyone goes to leave the story, but feels something's wrong. Seiyun tells everyone time was not just up for Chairin, but everyone else as well. It's too late to fix the errors. She reveals the Webtoon page of the story, noting wills were gathered from the outside and gave birth to miracles in a story. Us, the readers, wanted to see a story where everyone is safe, and our willpower helped them. But even with the will of the story characters' awakened souls, and the will from the new souls of the outside world readers, it isn't enough to help them escape. Devils live in stories. They embed themselves into the hearts of people with a true physical presence, and live off of our power. Our hopes for the story to continue the way we want it to gives the devil more power. The devil didn't make the unknown extra miracle. When she saw that, she became more interested in the story if Huisu became more hopeful. And that's why she became visible to Huisu earlier in the story. She's interested in an interesting story to leech off of, especially interested in a story that will end right at the point where everyone was filled with hope to succeed, because she's a little despair muncher. When a character gains a soul, they no longer follow the script, sure, but that hope a soul has can easily break as well. Mihiwi, the miraculous unknown extra, begins to cry at the hopelessness of the situation, wishing to see her family again, which makes everyone else break with her. The devil, happy with breaking everyone's souls, continues to do her Faustian thing and asks to make another bet with Huisu. She just loves eating souls and making contracts both parties must follow. She enjoys the story and doesn't want it to end. She takes advantage of Huisu's friends' desires to see their family and offers Huisu to give up on returning to reality and live as Chairin. Seiyun can't let them leave, but she can at least repair the story to let them all be with their loved ones. So now the question is whether Huisu only cares about herself or cares for her friend's happiness at the expense of her own. Huisu gives up and agrees to become Chairin. But oh no, the devil enjoys digging graves more, so she goes and searches out Jihyun to make a bet with her too. She's very sure of herself. She must not have ever been the Devil of Rumpelstiltskin's book, I guess. She has Jihyun writ on her new soul that if Risu won't give up till the end, that she will make her a new story for everyone to be in. But if she gives up, she'll take all of their souls. And so, that's how Seiyun got a whole bunch of souls from the hopes of us readers and characters, taunting us with her bubble on the end of chapter roster, with Jihyun's soul missing, and Risu back as Chiding. We then get a repeat of the first chapter, word for word, every panel following the script to a T. Chiding follows the script, convincing herself following it is fine. Her life is destined to have a happy ending. She's fine not having any friends. Her friends call out to her, but they're nothing but silhouettes again. But she could have sworn she saw someone for a second calling for her. And she notes how she sometimes feels sad, wondering what it would have been like to have friends other than Jeha. Jeha sees her in the music room, and the plot follows how it always should have. No hug, the script unchanged. But Chiding begins to cry, while still following the script, thinking it's like this is destiny. And then Jeha asks her who she is, instead of his confession. The story rips. He asks if she's really the Chiding he knew. And then we see a flashback of the devil saying if anyone remembers Chiding, that she will return everyone's souls. Risu gets the memories of her friends back, another miracle. The devil freaks out. Risu says if a group of people were to gather their wills to make a story, what the readers really want to see wouldn't be a romance, but for everyone to be happy. Everyone intrinsically is hoping that no matter what happens, something good will happen in the end, that we can all overcome difficult times, just like Risu, a depressed novelist writing her story to escape. We all want a miracle for our efforts, and so, like Seiyun's Mephistopheles, we're Faust's Gretchen. Seiyun tries to invalidate Jeha counting in the bet, but her powers, as the devil, are no longer strong. Her abilities to manipulate and change the story are gone. We, the readers, reject Seiyun and sap her of her powers, wishing for a happy ending. And so, Seiyun is now prey to the voices in her head, driving her to fulfill the voices' demands. Every character can hear the voices of the readers because of their power. They're close to our reality, noting their willpower can enable them to escape the story. Everyone in the story now has a soul. Still trying to find a loophole, Seiyun says as long as she as the devil does nothing, nothing will change with the story, and they can all rot together. Risu's done getting cheated on, so she cheats the devil with a bet of her own. At the start of the story, Risu made a set of rules for the entire class to follow. When disagreements occur, play rock, paper, scissors. Yes, Risu bet it all on a game of rock, paper, scissors. But it's not so much the act of winning that gets them out. It's the fact that Seiyun went against her words and played the game. Her words being that she would do nothing. So, that enables them to escape. So, we get our happy ending with Risu waking up and finding her friends in reality with real-life pictures instead of the anime art style for most of the last chapter. You have to keep going day by day. Yet, do you ever feel like you no longer have the will to carry on? Do you ever feel small and worthless? Despite all that, try moving forward. You now know if you live on, you may meet the lovely unknown extras of your own life. And so, the story turns back to us, the readers, to give us hope to continue on. This story is really genius. While the devil in the story bit is a bit silly looking back on it, the story is crafted with such a love, with such a nice message at the end of it. I can't really think of many mediums that made me feel like I impacted a story myself. Like, sure, when you play like a video game or whatever, you kind of feel like you impact it, but you kind of impact it as the character and not as you yourself, as a reader reading this thing. And this is also one of the few stories that I felt like I impacted a story, but also became impacted by it as a result of me impacting the story. It may not be the perfect story, but we're all kind of like Huisu. We're not all the best story writers, but so long as we have the willpower to go on, what kind of miracles can we bring? We've already done so many things for so many people without realizing it. We're all an unknown extra in someone else's life. Well, that's the end of the video. Has this video changed your perception on reality? If so, I will leave you now, never to be heard of again. But I think I'll live on in your head, whether you remember or not. You got to the end of the video, right? I'll come to collect whenever you least suspect it. I've infected you, and you me. So in the end, this was a bet with no real losses. Thanks for watching. I always wanted to make a video on this webtoon, but it's so complex I wasn't sure how to really get my thoughts across. I watched a video by Tell Foundry on the fifth wall a day before reading the epilogue, and it all kinda snowballed from there. I hope you enjoyed the story. That's all I really wanted to make this video about. Get more people to read the webtoon, share my enjoyment in it, get more people to give willpower to it, I don't know. But hey, if you have some willpower left to create more miracles, maybe consider subscribing, or leaving me a Ko-fi if you enjoyed the video. You'll definitely become an unknown extra for me. But it's okay if you don't, so long as you remember me. Anyways, I'm bad at outros, so thanks for watching! Bye!